What do we see now? It's bad enough that cunning interpreters of Scripture are commenting prophecy after their own fashion. They're representatives of the clergy, but they're more cowardly than lay people, and it would behoove them to exhibit a healthy spiritual unease and help Christians by sowing beneficial concern so they'll be strengthened in their faith and receive divine consolation. I'm amazed. Doesn't what's happening give them any cause for concern? And why don't they at least add a question mark to the interpretations they come up with? And if they help the Antichrist and the mark lead other souls to perdition? No, behind the perfected credit card system, behind computerized security, lurks worldwide dictatorship and the yoke of the Antichrist. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Revelation 13:16-18. You must be ready for death. The world has lost control of itself. Honor and self-sacrifice have abandoned people. The taste of sacrificial joy is unknown to today's people, and that's why they're so tortured. For only when you co-participate in the pain of another do miracles happen. If a person doesn't cultivate in himself the spirit of self-sacrifice, then he thinks only of himself and doesn't receive divine grace. The more a person forgets himself, the more God remembers him. Those who die heroically don't really die. And where there's no heroism, nothing worthwhile can be expected. Our time is like a bubbling and steaming cauldron. One needs temperament, audacity, courage. Take care not to be caught unprepared if something is to happen. Start getting ready now so that you'll be able to resist difficulties. Christ himself tells us, therefore be ye also ready, Matthew 24:44, doesn't he? Today, living in such complicated times, we have to be not merely ready, but triply ready at the minimum. Possibly we may meet not only with sudden death, but with other dangers. So let's drive away the desire to arrange our lives comfortably. May love of honor and the spirit of self-sacrifice live in us. I see that something is in the works, that something lies just around the corner, but it's constantly being put off. Little delays all the time. Who's creating the delays? God? Another month passes, then another couple of months. That's how it all goes. But since we know what awaits us, let's develop love in ourselves to the degree that we can. That's the main thing. For true brotherly love to exist between us. Kindness, love, that's strength. Guard the secret as well as you can and don't indulge in excessive frankness. If he and I and the bell ringer are all in on the secret, then what will come of that? Death in battle adds greatly to God's mercy, for a person who dies the death of the brave sacrifices himself to defend others. Those who give up their lives out of pure love in order to defend their neighbor are imitating Christ. These people are supreme heroes. They arouse fear in our enemies. Death herself trembles before them because they scorn her due to their great love and attain immortality in this fashion, finding the key to eternity under the gravestone. They enter into eternal blessedness without difficulty. That's why I say to you, cultivate self-sacrifice, brotherly love. May each of you attain a spiritual condition which will allow you to get out of difficult situations. Without a spiritual condition, a person loses courage because he loves himself. He can renounce Christ, betray him. You must be ready for death. We believe that nothing is in vain, that our sacrifice has meaning. Remove your eye from everything you do. The person who leaves his eye rises above the earth, moves in another atmosphere. As long as he remains inside himself, he cannot become a heavenly being. There is no spiritual life without sacrifice. Try to remember at least a little bit that death exists. And since we'll die in any case, let's not take care of ourselves too much. Look after your health, but not to the degree where you begin to bow down before your peace and well-being. I'm not asking anyone to throw themselves headlong into dangerous adventures, but you have to have at least a bit of heroism, my brother. Feats are committed not by the tall in size, but by the audacious, the heartfelt, and the self-sacrificing. There's no barbarity in spiritual audacity. Such people don't fire at the enemy, but over his head, forcing him to surrender. A kind man prefers being killed than killing. The harmonious person is prepared for accepting divine powers. The mean, the cowardly, and the small of spirit, on the other hand, use impudence to hide their fear. They are afraid of themselves as well as others and shoot without stopping. Courage and audacity are one thing, criminality and malice quite another. In order to succeed at anything, one needs a wild streak, in the positive sense. He who lacks this wild streak can become neither a hero nor a saint. The heart must become uncalculating. In our age, audacity has become a rarity. Water, not blood, flows in people's veins. So if a war were to break out, God forbid, many would simply die of fright, while others would lose heart because they're used to an easy life. Fear is necessary when it helps a person turn to God. Fear from lack of faith, from lack of trust in God, on the other hand, is ruinous. Such fear is driven by audacity. We must remember, the more a person fears, the more he is tempted by the enemy. If a person refuses to strive to become courageous and doesn't strive for real love, then when a difficult situation arises, he'll become a laughingstock. The warrior takes joy in the fact that he is dying so that others don't have to. If you dispose yourself this way, then nothing will be frightening. Courage is born from much love, kindness, and self-sacrifice. Today, people don't even want to hear about death. However, he that doesn't remember about death is living outside of reality. Those who fear death and love life's vanities are in a state of spiritual stagnation. Bold people who always keep death before them and think about it constantly, on the other hand, conquer vanity and begin to live in eternity and heavenly joy while still here on earth. May he who fights in the war for faith and fatherland cross himself and not fear, for God is his helper. God himself will decide whether he is to die or to live. One needs to trust God, not oneself. The Russians will take Turkey. The Chinese will cross the Euphrates. Providence tells me that many events will happen. The Russians will take Turkey, and Turkey will disappear from the world map because a third of the Turks will become Christians, another third will die in the war, and another third will leave for Mesopotamia. The Mid-East will become a theater of a war in which the Russians will take place. Much blood will be spilled. The Chinese, with an army of 200 million, will cross the Euphrates and go all the way to Jerusalem. The sign that this event is approaching will be the destruction of the Mosque of Omar, for its destruction will mark the beginning of work by the Jews to rebuild the Temple of Solomon, which was built on the same spot. There will be a great war between Russians and Europeans, and much blood will be spilled. Greece won't play a leading role in that war, but they'll give her Constantinople, not because the Russians adore the Greeks, but because no better solution will be found. The city will be handed over to the Greek army even before it has a chance to get there. The Jews, inasmuch as they'll have great power and the help of the European leadership, will become proud and insolent beyond measure and conduct themselves shamelessly. They'll try to rule Europe. They'll play all sorts of tricks, but the resulting persecutions will lead Christians to unite completely. However, they won't unite in the way desired by those who are now engaging in various machinations to create a single church united under a single religious leadership. Christians will unite because the unfolding situation will naturally separate the sheep from the goats. Then the prophecy, one flock and one shepherd, will actually come to pass. Here the elder is saying a true grassroots unity will form that will have nothing in common with the ecumenist unity being prepared with the upcoming Pan-Orthodox Synod, where they shall elect a single hierarchy for the whole orthodoxy. Don't give in to panic. Cowards are of no use to anyone. God looks at a person's situation and helps him. We have to remain cold-blooded and use our brains. No matter what happens, we must continue to pray, think, and act. It's best to always stand up to a difficult situation using spiritual means. However, that spiritual boldness that is born of holiness and striving towards God is missing today, as is the natural boldness needed not to turn coward in the face of danger. In order to hold back a great evil, great holiness is needed. A spiritual person can hold back evil and help others. In the spiritual life, the biggest coward can attain great courage by entrusting himself to Christ and his divine help. He can go to the front lines, do battle with the enemy, and win. So therefore, we will fear God alone, not people, no matter how evil they may be. The fear of God makes any coward into a hero. A person becomes fearless to the extent he unites with God.